some YouTubers up here, as well as people that very well known in the space. A lot of great opinions, a lot of great viewpoints. So it's going to be awesome to hear what they have to say about all these different questions we got. So today what we're going to talk about is what actually influences the influencers, right? So let's just go ahead and start, you know, with Crow down there at the end, and just kind of, you know, maybe just tell us about yourself, you know, how you got in the space, you know, all that kind of good stuff.
Welcome, everybody. Hopefully everybody is less hungover than I am right now. You know, what got me into the space? You know, honestly, the very first thing that I saw, so I had heard about Bitcoin back in like 2013, and I shrugged it off, like, you know, I don't even play games anymore, I don't need Bitcoin. You know, like, I'm still a gamer, I'm a big nerd. But, you know, at the time, I just looked at Bitcoin as something that was used for people to sell, like, virtual swords or drugs. Like, you know, that was my conception, that was my perception of it at the time. And so I blew it off, and then, you know, years later, I saw a video by Ian Bellina about ICOs. And the explanation of the ICO crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, really put things into perspective to me, where I understood at this point that it was beyond just Bitcoin, it was about blockchain. And when I first heard about Bitcoin, I didn't really understand the concept of blockchain technology. I didn't understand decentralization or any of that stuff. And so, you know, Ian really kind of explained things in a way that it clicked with me. And it clicked in such a way that I became like this manic, mad scientist in my own mind, like up late, couldn't even think about anything else I was doing. I was developing mortgage banks at the time. And I was literally in the middle of developing a new mortgage company, and all I could think about was blockchain. All I could think about was just ICOs and technical analysis and just all these things that I was being exposed to. And that's where it started. And then from there, I just started looking at other YouTubers. I just started using YouTube or Twitter like a few months ago. Like, I had an account from like 2010, and I forgot I even had it. And then I just realized, holy shit, I have thousands of people on here following me, and I'm not even saying anything. So I just recently started doing that. So now I'm getting more into the Twitter guys and kind of seeing what they're putting out there. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where it started for me, and it really just hasn't ended, and that's it.
I think you've had a Twitter account longer than that, though, but it just wasn't you. There's like 30 crypto crows out there, so yeah. Be careful which one you follow.
Pick a platform, and there are a whole bunch of them.
Exactly.
I'm Randall from Crypto Love, and I got into it beginning of 2017. Dude who's a friend of mine, he's Sasha Dagan, he's a pickup artist, and he told me about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. He said if you want Bitcoin, you'll be set for life. And I trust his opinion on other stuff, so I started looking into Bitcoin, cryptos, got involved in it, and then when there was the Bitcoin Bcash hard fork, I didn't know what to do. So I started researching, watched YouTube, found Crypto Daily, and thought it was pretty hilarious, so I figured, hey, I'll try that stuff, and it stuck.
Yeah, I'm Mark Moss. I got in about 2015, into 2015, and I would say that I was drawn to Bitcoin because I believe it's revolutionary. I don't think we need a better PayPal. I think PayPal works pretty good. My Visa card works pretty good. What I want is a revolution, and so I believe that Bitcoin, for the first time in history, allows us to conduct commerce and business, censorship resistance, immutable. And that's where I see the revolution, like they talked about earlier, about having like platforms that we can't be censored on. Like we saw Alex Jones get wiped from the face of the earth. And so that's the revolution that I'm excited about, and kind of like what Vortex said earlier, when I first heard about it, I was just like, I want this revolution to happen, and it's my job to tell as many people as I can about this, to get them all to come in and help usher this in. And so for me, that's what got me excited, and that's why I continue to talk about that stuff today.
Awesome response. Hi everyone, I'm actually Bitcoin Ben. I'm a truck driver from the Midwest. I have a speech impediment, and I'm terribly good looking. So I'm perfect for YouTube. And, actually the reason you're in is the reason I'm in. I've always been like a revolutionary. I always want to go against whatever somebody tells me I should do. I actually do the opposite, because usually the opposite's what leads you towards common sense. And so I actually realized, because I watched a lot of, you know, Ken Bozak and like all of these other big influencers, and the one thing I saw that wasn't really there was a show that had humor kind of blended in with education. And with my past of actually like doing comedy, I had a radio show in St. Louis, which is you'd be surprised how hard it is to actually convince a radio show place or a radio station to give you a talk show when you stutter. I don't know why they didn't think it would work. And but it actually did, and I got a big following, and the #1 guy in town had competition, so they let me go. But other than that, Revolution's why I'm in it. I like I say on my show, I'm in it for the change, not for the change. And I really just love blockchain. I love people, and I think that blockchain will help us achieve freedom for everyone in the globe, and that's what I'm in it for.
Cool, thanks, man. What you got, Kato?
Guys, you have to excuse my voice. It's been a pretty intense couple of nights. So, yeah, my name.
You notice how he said nights.
So my name is K-Dub. My real name's Kyle. I have a channel, Crypto Zombie. So kind of like two-parter how I got into it. The first part, how I got into the actual being interested in the space was, you know, I worked for a family business for pretty much my whole adult life for 12 years, you know. And, you know, I butted heads a lot with my dad, and I just felt that it was kind of like on the gerbil wheel doing the same thing over and over again. So I started reaching out to basically anything I could find, whether it be like, you know, affiliate marketing or just any other alternative. And I ended up coming across this one site that used Bitcoin, right? And I was just like, this is weird. The last time I heard about this was at a party. Well, I'm sure he's doing very well right now, but he was telling me to buy in. It was like $8, and all I could, you know, think about was, you know, when I was going to get my next drink. So, you know, long story short, this guy paid with Bitcoin and it worked. And I was just fascinated by this internet money, right? So I bought some, kind of forgot about it, came back like a couple weeks later, it was like double the price. So not gonna lie, it was definitely that. It was definitely the price. Then I started looking into the technology, and my mind got completely blown, and then that's where these guys all come in. I started watching all different, you know, crypto YouTube channels, and I was just like, this is amazing. And the one thing that I wanted to bring to it was what I wasn't hearing from other people, because I had my own opinions, and I wanted to share that with people. So, you know, being a landscaper, which is what I was, in the winter, you know, you don't have a job, literally, unless it snows. So I had just free time. I just sat down, started making videos, and, you know, here I am. And I plan on pretty much doing this to the grave. So, yeah, it's my story. So.
Hey guys, I've got two things in common with Bitcoin Ben here. My name is Ben as well, and I'm also terribly good looking. Everyone had to know that was coming, right? I may be the only person that thinks it, but I do think it.
And you got jokes too.
I got a couple. Yeah, well, that is what I do. Bitcoin Ben and I were actually talking about it yesterday. I call it edutainment. So it's entertainment that is educational. So I don't just focus on, I do news videos every single day. I do a lot of content. I do about 12 videos a week. But I do news videos, coin reviews, but I've also got, you know, I've got a couple rap videos I animated, and I've got funny, you know, funny videos out there.
A lot of great stuff.
Thank you, appreciate that. Appreciate that. So that's how, you know, the things that I try to focus on. I'm trying to be very engaging. How I got into crypto, I actually did a video recently where I was looking at all my instant transactions from 2012, and I probably had about $10,000 worth of transactions when Bitcoin was at $13. Unfortunately, I was taking that money and spending it on a software that I had to buy with Bitcoin. And so looking back with the amount that I had, you know, I should be a billionaire or at least a multimillionaire by this point. And I missed out on that. And I've definitely stayed interested in it the whole time, but it, you know, went in cycles with how interested I was. So last year I really decided I wanted to get involved in the space. And so, you know, I just launched my channel at the beginning of this year. I really started making videos every day in March, so it's been, you know, not quite as long as these other guys. But the fact that I had that opportunity to have life-changing money and I missed it, I still feel like that's available to people out there. I still feel like that's available to me even at this late in the game. And so for me, that's what drives me to do my channel and things like that. So it would be nice to have my own island, which would be pretty sweet, but I like making YouTube videos too. So.
Awesome. And then my name is Robert Beadles, also Crypto Beadles on YouTube. Christian father, husband, own a blockchain development company, co-founder of Monarch. I got into the space, you know, I guess around 2008 is when, you know, the financial meltdown happened, right? So people like Max Kaiser, you know, he was speaking out about it. He's the one that kind of opened my eyes to Bitcoin. I, you know, initially, you know, wrote a book about it in 2009, not Bitcoin, but the financial crisis. 2010, started doing videos about, you know, the financial crisis. And then right about that time, Max Kaiser opened my eyes to Bitcoin. And so from then forward, you know, I've kind of had my eyes wide open. And I love this space, and I just love meeting all these people up here, man. So it's cool stuff.
And you're pretty.
Oh, well, thank you, Brady.
Damn good looking man.
So they're ranked in order of attractiveness.
Wait a second, why am I in the middle?
I knew you had a thing for me.
So I guess let's start off with maybe a hard question. So, all right, so we won't ask who's the best looking guy on the stage. That'd be the toughest question, right? But no, I guess a tough question would be like, this is actually from Randall. So like, you know, what's going on in the space that nobody's talking about that people should talk about, right? So what's going on in crypto right now that nobody's really addressing or talking about, but people should?
I'll go. Right now, there's a project that I was informed about a couple months ago that just announced yesterday. It's actually called Blockchains LLC. I learned about it from a person that was associated with it, and what they did is they have purchased 67,000 acres in Nevada, and they are building a cryptocurrency blockchain city. And the people who are involved are big money. I mean, billionaires. Warren Buffett is one of the investors, which might blow your mind because didn't he hate blockchain? Didn't he hate Bitcoin? Yeah, what they tell you, invest, or what they tell you sucks, invest in, because that's what they're invested in.
So it's like the NBC crypto trader, just do the opposite?
Exactly, and this project is huge, and although they didn't announce it yesterday, I'll actually announce it for them. They will be partnering with Google. Their property surrounds Google's headquarters. So if you want to see what the future is going to be, look at Blockchains LLC. Watch that. It's going to be neat.
Wow. All right. Randall, what do you got?
I would say the one thing for me that could be talked about more, it's talked about a little bit, but kind of what happened with Ross Ulbricht. So I don't know how you guys feel on the case, but there were a lot of trumped up charges, and the murder for hire charges were never proven. There were corrupt government officials, and he ended up getting 2 life sentences plus 40 years without parole in prison, when the largest drug dealer on Silk Road got 10 years. And the person who made Silk Road 2.0 served no time. So the sentence doesn't really fit the crime. So anyways, there's a website, freeross.org. You can go on there. You can read more about it, because I could tell you about it, but really you have to, with crypto, you have to do your own research. Don't believe what I say. Do your own research. They also have a petition on there to try and get clemency for him, because he's got a walking death sentence pretty much, and it's unfortunate. And I think the biggest, aside from like him being in prison and that being absolutely terrible for him, it also just goes to show how we kind of lose faith in our government, in the justice system, because with cryptocurrency, with blockchain right now, we're losing faith in government money. We used to have 100% faith and credit in government money. We don't anymore. That's why people go into Bitcoin. Well, with his case, I mean, very much lost faith in the government and what they're able to do. But I would say go check that out, and that needs to be talked about. So freeross.org, check that out.
Absolutely agree.
So one of the things that I actually wanted to kind of address, and it's not even in line with what these guys are bringing up, but you know, I want people to really understand this whole transfer of wealth, and I want people to understand what's going on behind the scenes of exchanges, which is over-the-counter trading. And you know, over-the-counter trading right now is 3 to 4 times that of what's happening on exchanges, and the reason for that is because billions of dollars are being traded right now in Bitcoin that nobody sees. And there's a reason for that. You know, like the big project that you're just talking about. Any of these big projects, these major players, these institutions, these billionaires, that they know what's happening and they know what's coming, because they are all friends and they all snort the same Coke and drink at the same parties and they all know what's going on. Yes. And you know, the reality is that these people are ultimately, in a sense, not just working towards capitalizing on what they know is soon to come, but keeping things outside of the reach of everyone else. And I think that, you know, one of the big, you know, my wife has put up with my manic psychoticism for so long now in this space, because, you know, when I was first really exposed to this and I really started clicking and the technology really started clicking in my head, it was such a driving force because I saw this transfer of wealth from the powerful that have been pushing us down for so long in putting the resources into the hands of people that actually have a fucking heart. Why? I haven't cried on my channel in so long. I guess it was just it was just bound to happen.
His favorite movie is The Notebook. If you guys didn't know that.
The reason why it's such an emotional thing for me is because I grew up poor. You know, I grew up poor, Section 8 housing, single mom. I never met my father. He'd been in prison my entire life for all kinds of horrible shit. And you know, it's like I grew up in rough areas, and it's like I understand the heart of those with nothing. And the majority of the people that have nothing have more compassion than every one of you sons of bitches recording this is going to get your asses but you know, when you meet the real wealthy, like I was just talking to somebody, I won't mention names, but somebody who's very well connected into the, you know, some of the top money players in the world, and talking about one of the biggest, you know, fund managers, and just talking about him on a personal level because they've known each other for quite a while. Just the mentality of some of these people. We are nothing but lemmings for the feed. We are just, you know, like, and I've used the term as well, just the dumb money. The money that goes into the space hoping for a second chance or hoping for an opportunity to grow beyond our current position. And, you know, these people capitalize on our ignorance. And for me, I commend everybody that's up here because we're putting in the time to try and educate people on this opportunity that so many people are overlooking because of the misunderstanding that has happened with the market crash, this cycle that people aren't aware of. And so when I talk about over-the-counter trading, I want people to understand what over-the-counter trading is and how much volume is happening right fucking now. And there's a lot of reason for it. So when I see all these questions about doubt and concern, what's happening? Is the market ever coming back? Yes, it's coming back as soon as all these motherfuckers have bought up everything available and the volume is gone and the rest of us have little option. So when you go out and you guys leave this thing, I really want people to start really diving into what over-the-counter trading is. Look at the volume that's taking place. I'm personally privy to a deal right now in the billions. And it's one big oil family buying billions of dollars of Bitcoin fucking right now. Like as I sit here, I'm sure they're on a conference call. And there is a reason for that, and that reason is because the people that know and the people that have are much more privy to what's coming. So don't forget that. That's the only point I wanted to make.
That's a big point. That's a good point. not the point I wanted to make, but I do want to add on to that because it's interesting, right? Like you see early this year, Facebook, Google banned advertising. All the banks shut down the on-ramps. Like no people, no credit cards, no bank transfers. They cut everybody off, right? So like crypto ran away. People were getting rich. The institutions weren't on board. So no on-ramps. Nobody can get in. No advertising. It's silent. And then just in the last couple of weeks, we have TD Ameritrade, we have Fidelity, we have ICE Backed, all announced their opening before the end of the year. So that doesn't mean they just started. That means they started at least a year ago. And we know Wall Street, they're all in on that, media, banking, everything together, right? So now they're coming, all the OTC buying is being done. The shelves are being stocked. They announced they're coming online between now and the end of the year, the next 60 days. And at the exact same time, Facebook and Google announced they're going to lift the advertising ban. And we know that the financial industry is the biggest marketing powerhouse there is, right? So they've stocked up. This is a plan, right? It's been a year in progress. And it's like 60 days, 60, 90 days, like this is all going to come into fruition. So for those that are looking at the fundamentals, it's all out there in the open. And so it wasn't the point I wanted to make, but I guess it's the point I'm making now.
Glad you did. He's the fundamentals guy, so yeah.
It's not the point I want to make, but you asked what we should be looking at. And all these things are done in the wide open. And it's not really done in secret. Most people just don't pay attention.
Right. Well, they don't know to look.
They don't know where to look, or they're too preoccupied with the Kardashians or whatever's hot right now. Yeah. I don't know. But my point is all this stuff was done public. Google and Facebook announced their advertising ban. Right? We knew this, but it's like you have to learn to think objectively, like where'd the news come from? What could be their possible motivation? And what fundamental analysis is looking at a law, a rule, and then projecting into the future what that will mean, right? So for example, June of last year, 2017, the SEC put the industry on notice saying, hang on, these ICOs might be securities. So that was a fundamental piece of news that we knew would affect the ICO industry 6-8 months later, right? So you have to learn to look for these pieces of news and then think about it. Who put it out? What are the motivations? And what are the implications into the future so that you can be positioned properly, right? So if we know all this is happening, you can buy Bitcoin right now for $6,000. And when all this is said and done, in the next 90 days, it could be $12,000, $15,000, $20,000 possibly. We're not trying to speculate in the next 90 days. For me, it's much further, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. But look for the signs. It's all around. Like you said, it's not going to fail. Like Goldman Sachs is the financial industry. They're not subject to whims of the regulations. They create them. They don't go spend $1 billion to get into an industry that's about to go to zero. They don't do that. They're not guessing. They create it. So yeah, pay attention. Keep your eyes open. Learn to think objectively and think longer term, and you'll be okay.
Great points. Great points, Mike. So Ben, you want to go?
Yeah. I think that one thing I'd like to say, which is on basically a totally different vein of thought here, which is one of the biggest things happening in cryptocurrency right now is happening in this room. It's happening at this hotel. It's happening at this conference. And that's the community of what is going on in crypto. You'll see people say things on Twitter, wherever it might be, like, oh, Bitcoin's going to go to zero. I know for a fact it's not, because I know people are invested in it, and I know that they're not selling, and I know that they see the long-term vision of what we're doing. That's why what Bitcoin Ben was talking about with the blockchains LLC. I read that article yesterday. It sounds like Ready Player One or something. It's really crazy, what the future is going to hold. But for me with my channel, I really enjoy this time where I'm able to talk to my followers. I'm able to communicate with my subscribers in live chats. A lot of times when I'm doing a live video, I'll try to hit every single comment if I can. And that's a really special time for me. There's guys like Randall and Jason over there that they can't do that. They have too many followers. They physically cannot respond to every comment they get. And I think they're really, crypto is kind of in a similar space right now where it's still small enough to where some of the biggest influencers, like, you can come and talk to them, and hang out. If you went to Wendy's meetup last night, everybody's there and we're all accessible and we'll talk to you. We want to be friends with you. You know, somebody will come up to me and they'll be like, oh, you know, thank you so much for talking to me. I'm like, no, this fills my cup to be able to talk to you guys about this. And I think if you're not part of this community, if you're just here as an attender or someone watching, you know, on some platform right now, what can you bring to this space? Because I believe personally that whenever this next bull run hits, whether it's end of December, whether it's February, whether it's 2020, whenever it is, whenever this next run hits, after that is going to hit an oversaturation point. And if you want to get involved in crypto, if you want to get involved in some of these projects, if you want to get involved in YouTube or, you know, Twitter, whatever it might be, you might have missed your chance. And so right now, if you really want to get involved, the community is open and it's available and it's accessible. And whatever you have, whatever skill set you have, that can line up with something in crypto, right? So one real exciting thing that I've got going on right now, if you guys were able to visit downstairs, the bottom floor, the Crypto Cake booth. Crypto Cake is a 24/7 OTT platform that's a 24/7 cryptocurrency news channel, and I'm privileged, along with a couple other people in this room, Wendy and Crypto Stash, I don't think anybody else is in here, but to be involved in that channel. And I really encourage you guys to go check it out, because it's not, this is what's really important, what I want you guys to understand about that channel. It's not a channel for the investors behind it or the production company to make money on the channel. Like, yes, they have to be a business, but it's supported by early Bitcoin investors that want to spur on adoption and want to bring it to the mainstream. So that's the goal of the channel, is to reach as many people as we can with cryptocurrency and blockchain. And yes, of course, a reverberating effect of that could be the price of Bitcoin going up. And if you're an early Bitcoin investor, of course, you would be able to, you know, benefit financially from that. But that's not the point of the channel. And that's not why we do any of the stuff we do. You know, yes, money is good, but if you can't tell, we're all super passionate about blockchain. And like Mark said, and Ben said as well, like, it's a revolution. It's an idea bigger than you know, any of us probably thought when we first got into it. So
cool. Thanks, Ben. What you got, Kyle?
I don't want to take up too much time because you guys all hit on some really crazy points. That whole OTC thing, I just did a video on that myself. I've been, like, it's been blowing my mind. Like you said, the amount of volume that's happening, and people, like, it's not being seen on the actual charts. So people think it's dead. It's not. And, you know, I'm looking and I'm correlating a lot of different things. If you actually go back and you look at 2017, you know, or 2018, whatever, as a whole, and you see these different news articles that, you know, you guys are joking about the whole CNBC thing, but it really does actually, you know, in hindsight, tell you that they're accumulating, that this is happening. You know, don't let it fool you, because, you know, the whole idea behind this was to get away from the traditional systems, the problems that we don't like, and we're going to allow it to happen again if we don't actually allow that transfer of wealth, that the opportunity is actually available right now. And one of the things I wanted to say actually in the beginning, but I forgot, was I'm a person that likes to own my own things. It's just something I like to do, you know, that's just who I've been my whole life. And, you know, for example, I bought a house. I built the house, but it doesn't matter. The point is that it's really not my house. You know, technically the bank bought it, and they just let me keep my shirt and pants there, basically. And I think about this, and even if I had paid it off completely, you know, the town, let's say I missed a couple taxes or something, they could still take it from me. But when you're talking about something on a distributed ledger that everyone can see, you own your private keys. I mean, I love the fact that I know that that is my Bitcoin. It is my Bitcoin, and no one can ever take that from me. And I think that that's the thing that I wish people would care about more is, you know, even with data and stuff, whatever, like what's yours is yours. And I guess ultimately I just wish that we could have people care more about that, because that's really what gets me most excited about it, is, you know, having it.
Thank you, Cal. Hey, I was going to see if you guys want to take some questions. Anybody out there in the audience have some questions? All right.
I'm anxious.
Of course.
Well, hey, okay, so I wanted to know what your feeling was about mass adoption in relation to the values of Bitcoin, because, you know, my concern is we might have mass adoption, but if, you know, the banks or whoever owns the media puts these overlays and custodial services become larger and banks remain banks, and, you know, so we might have mass adoption, but we might miss the principles that underlie the you know, the foundation of Bitcoin. So I'd like to know your thoughts on that.
It's a choice. You have to choose. You have to choose freedom. You associate with platforms that are freedom linked. They're freedom based. You know, one thing, and brother, I'm right there with you. I cry on my show, literally. Yeah, he has no tears because he has no soul. No, everyone up here, we share one thing in common. And if I start crying, you better cry with me. We do our shows every night that I do a show. It's me relating my life to, damn it. So, all right, what really got me involved was actually my dad. I lost my dad a while ago, and he retired a poor man, worked 40 years of his life, and retired poor. And when he died, I was angry. I was so angry. And you have to choose, like you said, you own it. Don't let someone else take it away from you. Don't give them an opportunity to take it away from you. Don't let your labor be robbed from you. And this technology, this is why we're all up here. We're changing the world. We have to choose. Whenever, every single dollar that you take out of the old system and put into the new system, you're buying your freedom. So buy more freedom.
I want to jump in on that question for you, because that was actually the point I wanted to make, but Crow got me so fired up I had to jump in on that point. I get fired up on this stuff. So to answer your question, you talked about the price and if adoption's happening, why is the price down, right? So the point that I was going to make earlier is that you have to understand what it is that we're investing into, and in order to do that, you have to go back and study history. So we're not invested in a traditional asset class. We're invested into an emerging technology cycle. We've had 5 technology cycles over the last 200 years. So we had like steam engines, railways, automobiles, internet, right? And you have to understand that an emerging technology cycle, they all work similar. And what happens is money always gets ahead of the technology, and then the technology catches up. All right, so the most recent example being the internet, right? And what happens is once you can understand that we're in a technology cycle and how they work, then you can understand like the patience, right? So everybody's expecting way too much, way too soon. And so like the internet, for example, the first website went public in 1990. 1995 was an IPO. We could actually have Netscape. We could actually search the internet. Amazon went public in 97. By 2000, 10 years later, only 15% of people had ever bought anything online. We didn't even have broadband internet until 2003, 13 years later, right? Amazon went from $1 in 97 to 80 and then back to 5. But it just hit 2000 recently. So in an emerging technology, you have to understand that the adoption cycle takes time. The money gets ahead of the technology catches up. Now, there's 3 different components that you should be watching, and you talk about the price, but the price is actually the least of the 3 you should be focusing on. So you want to focus on the innovation and the adoption and the price. So the price can be a distraction for us right now.
Those are all values.
But the amount of innovation and adoption that's happening today is massive. And so that tells me, again, the future, that the value of the price will catch up. So focus on the innovation, the Lightning Network, the second layer scaling solutions. Focus on the adoption, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade coming on. And know that the third thing, the value, the price, will catch up shortly.
Thanks, Mark. I want to make sure we get Jack. So, Jack.
Yeah, this is a question for the Crypto Pro. What would be your good idea to bring mass adoption to the masses? Something that's, let's say, maybe low cost, maybe more...
maybe like $20 a ticket?
Maybe like that.
What's this ChainWise?
And what the hell's up with the damn unicorn anyway?
That's for you. Unicorns are beautiful.
About the unicorn?
I actually think the unicorn is great. I told him for his Halloween costume he needed a rag, like rainbow flag dragging the Bitcoin behind them. I thought that would have been perfect. But okay, so here's the thing. When I think of mass adoption, I think that the number one thing that okay, so when I think about mass adoption, I think of two different types of people. You have the investors, the speculators, the money people. The people that are led by either one of two types of investment, either pure greed and speculation, or the desire to change one's life. Okay, and cryptocurrency is becoming this avenue for people with little to create a lot. Okay, because these are people that are getting in at the ground floor of something astronomical, and the people who are putting the time in to really educate themselves on things are going to be the front runners in being able to change their lives. And that, taking somebody like me who is grinding out 6 figures every year, which at the time, to some people, making 6 figures sounds like a lot, but when you've got a big family and just a lot of responsibility, it's really not that much. And even at a 6-figure income, I was living check to check, and it was a struggle. And every penny you spend is like a worry. And luckily for me, my wife married me fat and broke, so I know it wasn't about the money, right? So, but when I saw the opportunity to get into something, I missed the .com bubble. I missed being able to get free domains just to populate the internet. I missed so many opportunities in my past because I lacked the foresight. And I've always said you can judge somebody's intelligence by their foresight. And so, when I saw cryptocurrency, I realized this was something that was going to change the world, and I'm going to be a part of it. Then there's the other group. The other group are the ones that are already so focused on their daily grind that they don't necessarily have the means or the time to research, to educate themselves properly on what's coming, what it is. And those are the people that are going to be reached by use case. Those are people that are going to be reached by being able to achieve something with an underlying blockchain layer they don't even know is there. And then learning about how things work over time. And so, and the other thing, honestly, is just accessibility. We're finally establishing custody solutions. We're finally establishing means for the general public to be able to engage in blockchain technology without having to read a book, without having to, watch guys like us explain things, to them in detail. And so we're still at a very, ground level of mass adoption, but I think that, you have to figure out what person are you wanting to reach out to and then speak to them on that level, and that will bring more in. And I think that's, I think everybody, we had a discussion earlier. Some of us love Ripple, some of us don't. I never really liked Ripple up until recently. And then I said, you know what? I'm just gonna buy it. It was down to 22 cents, and the spread against Ethereum was solid. So I bought a shit ton of it, and within a week and a half, it more than almost quadrupled in value. And I'm like, even when I bought into it, I said, look, I am not a fan of Ripple, but from a purely speculative nature, from that angle, it's a no-brainer. And so I bought a whole bunch of it, and it turned out to be a good move, specifically for the reasons that I told everybody that I was buying it, and you might want to look into it. And so, I'm a different person given, whatever day of the week and whatever it is that I'm doing, so I can be reached in a multitude of ways, but other people, they have their own language, and it's just a matter of really figuring out what that is and touching them there.
Nice. And then Randall, what's up with the unicorn?
So when I first got into YouTube, I needed a banner for my the YouTube channel, and Bitcoin to me was something awesome, but at the same time it's not physically tangible. It's kind of as imaginary as unicorns and rainbows. So I went on Fiverr and I paid someone $5 to make a logo. I was like, can you make a unicorn shooting bitcoins and rainbows out of its butt in 8-bit? And that's what I got.
I love it.
I think I want to touch base just real quick on the mass adoption point, because I think, call me crazy, I think most people have a fundamental misunderstanding of what mass adoption is and what it means. I think a lot of people think that means everybody knows about Bitcoin and everybody wants to buy it and the price is going way up. And I just don't feel like that's the case. I feel like really what true mass adoption is going to be is when everyone's using it and they don't realize they're using it. That is what blockchain is, that's when blockchain is really going to take the next level. So I think we're going to see that. We're going to see that in gaming. Gaming is going to lead the charge with that. People are going to be buying collectibles and not realize they're using blockchain technology. Walmart, already they don't have a coin. So surprisingly enough, you can have a blockchain and not have a coin, believe it or not. They have their own blockchain. They're already doing supply tracking on the blockchain. You don't know that, but you're going and buying stuff. They just had a big thing where they're now making all their farmers that they get their stuff from, be able to make their stuff trackable on their blockchain, or else they're not going to accept stuff from them. We're going to see it in other ways as well. We're going to see it on the enterprise side, just like with Walmart, with something like Ontology that's really geared towards enterprise. That's when big businesses using it, and we don't really see it. I think that's going to be a huge factor with mass adoption.
I just want a blockchain for my own damn mind so I can keep my shit more organized.
It's going to need to be
a lot.
There's going to be a lot of side chains on that one.
Well, we got about a minute left, so all right, let's try and get one question here. All right, you guys fight to the death. Whoever wins can ask the question.
Same time.
What services or tools for creators are you guys excited about?
TubeBuddy, I like TubeBuddy if you're a YouTuber.
Services or tools? I don't. Yeah, it sucks because I would love to go to a more decentralized platform, but unfortunately, you put your video on DTube and you get like no views. So I don't know. Right now I use YouTube, but hopefully once people actually let me see 1 second. But the thing I wanted to say is what Ben said. You hit the nail on the head, man. They got to have something that they don't realize that they're using it. Okay, that's the thing, because I have like little sisters. They're on their Snapchat doing their thing. They really don't care. They're only going to go to the next platform if it's something that they're used to. You're not going to switch to something just because it's decentralized. You're going to switch to it because it's either cheaper, faster, more secure, or it's fun, or you like it, or it's easy. Right? So the thing is, if you make something on blockchain and it's the equivalent to what we have now, chances are they're not going to migrate. If it's better, that's the key. So I think that we're going to have to work double time, twice as hard, to not only make it decentralized, but actually make it better than what's out there. It's definitely a difficult task, though.
Or we could just tokenize Fortnite. Problem solved. Mass adoption overnight.
We are out of time, but big thanks to Kevin and Wendy.
I hardly know how to use YouTube.
Big thanks to you guys for putting this together. Appreciate every single one of you guys. Make sure you guys follow them on YouTube. Hit them up on the side. Make sure you guys watch, view, follow, subscribe, all that kind of cool stuff. So thanks a bunch, guys. God bless y'all.
If you have more questions, just come up and ask over here.
One Bitcoin question.
I do not accept Whipple.
And we're going to speak to you guys today about a couple of different things. The first thing I think that we all agree on, though, is that as a whole, we don't really love the term influencers. I don't think any of us have a goal here to influence any of you to do anything. Most of us are sharing our journey, and we have, different stories, and we will share a little bit of that. So my name is Bitcoin Birch. I primarily use Twitter and Telegram. I co-founded Bitcoin Bravado. I'm going to let each of these guys do a quick intro of themselves as well. We'll get into a couple of questions that a couple of them will take a stab at, and then we're actually going to leave about 10 minutes for you guys to ask questions for us related to whatever you want to learn, whether it's trading or if it's just, what our favorite altcoin bag is right now. So without further ado, we'll start with Vin.